there, beautiful people. How are you? So today we are going to start a new series of videos, which is story time. In this series of videos, I will be talking about my stories here in China. There are some fun stories, some stories where we can learn from it, like you can't make the same mistakes as I did. Also, I will be having some of my friends who will be talking about their own stories here. So, should we get started with the first story? I'll be talking about this day when I went back to Wenzhou. It's the city where I used to live my first few months when I first came to China. And I went there to visit my friends. That was my second year here in China. And I was very excited. I got to the airport and I needed to grab a cab. And I know that sometimes you have to be careful if the car or like the taxi is using the meter, or like he will just ask you for some amount of money. But I was thinking, okay, if he's gonna ask me about some amount of money, then he will be saying it before I get in the cab. So I was making sure, like, I didn't talk to him, but I just made sure he was using the meter. He started the meter. We were in the highway, and all of a sudden he was like, "Hey lady, do you know that it will cost you like 100 yuan?" And I was like, "Whoa, excuse me? You already started the meter." He was like, "No, like the taxis," like he was just trying, to get more money. He was like, "Oh, like taxis from the airport to the city, like they all will ask you for this price." I was like, "No, you started at the meter, so we are going with the meter." He was like, "No, you know what, like I can't do this because all the taxis are..." And I got very pissed, and then he told me on our way, like until we arrived like the highway, so that like there was no chance for me to do anything anymore, and just tell him, "Okay, just go ahead and just get me to my place." I was like, there is no way. I was very pissed, and I was like, "You know what, stop here." And he was very surprised. He was like, "We're in the highway." I was like, "I do not care. I do not care. Stop me here." I would grab a taxi. He was like, "It's hard to find a taxi here." I was like, "It doesn't matter. I'm gonna walk back to the airport." I was so pissed, and my Chinese at that time was really not that good. It was really bad, my second year. And my Korean at that time was a lot better. So I was so pissed that I started speaking to him Korean. I thought that I was speaking Chinese. I was just started learning Chinese. And so I got very pissed, and then he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Okay, open the trunk and get me my luggage." And he was like very surprised. He was like, "Lady, you can't get..." And I was sure that, I don't think you can do that, the same thing I did, but I was sure that it was not convenient for him to go all the way back to the airport to get more passengers. So I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna do this." I was kind of scared, but like I was like, I can't show that. So I was like very pissed. I'm telling him like to just grab my bag and everything out of the trunk. And he was like, "Hey lady, like it's not convenient. You won't find any taxi." I was like, "I don't care." I was like, "I don't care. I'm just gonna walk until I find someone, or I just hitchhike." I would never do that. I'm too scared to do that. So anyways, I was like, I will not stop. Like I will not give you that 100 yuan to get me to the city. It was not even that far, like to be paid. And he was like, "Okay, 90. I was like, "No, we will go with the meter." Or I knew that my friend told me that from the airport to the city, or like her place, it would cost around like 30 or like 40 yuan. And I was like, "No, I'm gonna give you 30. He was like, "Oh no, like there's no taxi." I was like, "If I get someone with the meter, he will." And then he was like, "Okay, 50. And I was like, "There is no freaking way I'm giving you that." And like I was like really scared, but I took my luggage and I started walking, and he was like, okay, 40. And I was like really like too scared and too to walk all the way back to the airport. So I was like, "Okay, 40. That was like one of like scariest thing that happened to me. And I was very scared, but I was very angry at the same time. But more anger, like the anger just like was way over there that I didn't even care. But like, yes, this is something that we have to be aware of. It happens everywhere in the world. Like, I know even in my country, people try to get more money from tourists or from foreigners. So yeah, like, if you get into the airport, if someone is not waiting for you and there is no subway, subway is always like the best option. But in that city, there was no subway, and just try to like fix the price with them, and make sure talk to them and tell them if really they are using the meter or not. And if not, like, try to bargain with the price. So yes, that happened to me and I learned from there. So every time I grab a cab, I just like make sure I get out of that area where the cabs are lining, because sometimes those are the ones that will ask for whatever, and just go a little bit away where there are like more taxis just passing by, and I will just wait for one to stop. Or you can just bargain if there are no like other taxis other than those that are lining up in front of the airport or like train station. So yes, that was my story for today, and don't do the same mistake I made. I learned from that too. So yeah, so this is for today's story, and I'm gonna see you next time with more stories. Bye.